Hello everyone. So I hope by this video you all would have installed your Tableau public software on your machines. So from here, we're going to start understanding and start working on that tool. See, on my machines, I have opened both the tools to make you or to show you all that how these two tools are similar, that is Tableau desktop and Tableau public, which we talked about in the previous video. Now, this software that you see on my machine is Tableau license software, that is Tableau desktop. The second one that we have is, now this is Tableau public. See, by looking at it, you cannot tell which is licensed and which is the free tool, that is a Tableau public. So you can see that up. If you take a look on the top, it's written Tableau public. So this tells you that this one is a Tableau public version and this one is a Tableau licensed version. The first difference that you will see is the number of data sources to which your Tableau license tool can be connected. See, because Tableau is not a database tool. You will be bringing the data into the Tableau from some external files, right? This could be Excel files, CSV files, some databases, or data coming from cloud as well. So when you talk about the license tool, you can bring the data from Excel, JSON file, text file, Access database, PDF file. You can bring the data from servers as well, right? MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server. And if I click on more, you will see the complete list to which your Tableau desktop can be connected to. And when you name the data source, you will find it over here in the list. So this is the first thing. But when you talk about Tableau public, see, Tableau public can be connected to only Excel, text file, JSONs, Microsoft Access, right? Some statistical files, or you can grab the data from Google Drive, Google Sheets, online data sources, or web data connectors. So you have very limited data sources when it comes to Tableau public. But the good thing is, see, once the data comes in your Tableau tool, now you don't have to worry from which source that data has come up, right? Because thereafter, you will just be using the capabilities of Tableau with all the data inside that tool. So we will be using Tableau public first of all and understanding how the things work. So over here, see, if you have to pull the data from a text file, you just click on text file and the data will be loaded from the text file into the Tableau public. If you have to load the data from a Microsoft Excel, you just have to click on Microsoft Excel and you have to go to that path where that file is placed and the data can be loaded. So let's see it over here. So I'll click on Microsoft Excel. I go to my path where that file is placed. So there is a file by the name of stationery items that we all are going to use. So before we load that data, I would also like to show you how that data looks like. See, this is the data that we all are going to use. This data is about a small stationery item selling store, right? So this store is selling items like, pens, pencils, desk, binders, etc. So you have the information like on a particular date in East region, Representative Dave, he sold some pen sets and he sold 62 units of that. The list price was this and selling price was this. So we can see what was the complete information about that transaction that had happened. So same way the data has been given for multiple items that were sold by the different representatives. I would like to bring this data into the Tableau so I can start doing my analysis. For example, I would like to understand which representative sold how many units of items. I would like to understand in which region we sold more units or less units. Or probably I will also like to calculate how much sales was generated across the different regions. So different kind of insights can be generated out from here, this data, which we are going to explore right now. I go back to the Tableau public. So we can see we are already at that path, right? So I'll repeat that part once again. So you click on Microsoft Excel, go to that path where that file is placed, select that file and click on open. So Tableau will now make a connection with that file and load the data from that file into the Tableau interface. So here you see the data has been loaded. So in this, above you will see the data set name is coming from where the data has come up. On the left side, you can see connections. This is the area, the file path from where the data has been connected to. At the bottom, you will see the complete data over here, right? So what happens is when the data is loaded in the Tableau, the first thing what Tableau does is it assigns the data type to each column. If you see over here in the first column, that is order date, you have all the dates on which the transaction had happened. So to this, because you have all the dates in this, so Tableau has assigned the data type of date. If you see a small calendar symbol is coming over here, that's the date, right? So we can see that if you click on that, you can check that data type as well. In this column, you have all the data as string or character type, right? So over here, the data type can be seen as ABC. So you will see now over here, string type of data type. Same is the case with representative, items. And in the 3 columns in the last, quantity, list price, and selling price, you have the numerical data. So numerical data is represented by hash, right? So numerical data can be of 2 types, decimal or whole numbers. So you can see this is a whole number and this is the number with decimal. So if you click on this icon, you will see this is the number whole, and over here, this is the number with decimals. Now, mostly if your data is properly structured, data is cleaned, Tableau will always pick the correct data type. But yes, it can happen, certain times the data was not well structured or there were some issues, or maybe you feel the data type that Tableau has picked is incorrect. You can just click on this icon and you can change that as well. So this is how the data is loaded, and you can see the structure of that complete data over here. If you feel like you want to rename a column, right? Like rep, you want to double click on this, you want to call it, you just double click on this, you want to name it as salesman, you can do that. You just have to double click and type the name. Or if you want to keep it as rep itself, you can do that. On the left hand side over here, this is called as metadata. See, metadata means data about data. The data that has been loaded over here from the Excel file, you will see some of the information over here on this left hand side in the metadata window. Field name means the name of the column which Tableau is using, right? Like order date, right? List price. So these are the name of the columns which are in the Tableau. This is the name of the physical table, the file from where the data has been loaded, which is stationery items. And over here, you can see this is called as remote field name. Remote field name means the name of the field in the original data source, right? So for example, if I rename this rep again to salesman, so you will see over here, the name of the field in Tableau is salesman, but in the original data source, it is telling you that the name of the field is rep. So for example, if tomorrow you share this file with someone else and he wants to refer to that Excel file, he should be able to understand that, okay, salesman is rep in that original file. And also please remember everyone, any change that you make over here is not going to be affecting the data in the original file. Original file will never be affected. Okay. You can also see all the data types over here. So for each of the columns from here also, if you feel you want to change the data type, you can very easily do that up. So this is how the data gets structured out when you load it into the Tableau interface. Now we will go to the sheet 1. Now sheet 1 is the main action area where we are going to spend most of our time, and we will be creating all our visualizations and doing our analysis. So first thing on the left hand side, this is called as a data pane. In the data pane, what happens is you will see all the field names that you have in your data. They will be visible on the left hand side. So what Tableau does in the data pane is it splits the data into 2 parts, dimensions and measures. The fields that you see above, so you can see there is a thin line that is passing over here in the tables, like which is over here right now. So the fields which are above that line, they are called as dimensions, and the fields below the line are called as measures. Dimensions means those fields on which you cannot do any mathematical aggregations. For example, item, region, salesman. Can I say what is the sum of region? No. What is the average of salesman? No. In fact, we do the calculations based on this field, right? Like what is the average sale done by a salesman, right? So dimensions are something, those fields on which we never do any mathematical calculations. Below this line, you will see these are called as measures. See, measures are those fields on which you will be doing certain mathematical aggregations. For example, sum of quantity, average quantity, minimum quantity, maximum quantity, selling price, list price. So that is how the fields get bifurcated in the data pane. Dimensions, they also have a color pattern that follows. Dimensions are in blue color, measures are in green color. That's an identifier for you which will help you understand dimensions and measures very, very neatly. Now, once the dimensions and measures are sorted, and if you feel like, some dimension has been, kept, but it should have been a measure or the other way around. So just like in data types, you can change them up. You can change a dimension into a measure and measure into a dimension as well. For example, if I drag the list price just above, you can see now being written over here, dimensions and measures above the line. So if I drag it above the line, see list price now turns into blue. That means it's a dimension now. But I will not do that. I will bring it back and keep it as a measure for now. So this is how the fields have to be read. Now we will come over here. Here you can see columns and rows. Now columns and rows, this is where we start dragging and dropping our fields now. You have columns and rows over here. Say for example, my first analysis is I want to show how many units were sold by each salesman. I pick up the salesman, drag it in the columns. So just like you have rows and columns in Excel, you will see that things behave in a similar fashion over here. When you put the names, you can see all the names of the salesman, they are coming column wise, like column 1, column 2, column 3. If you move it into the rows, you will notice that these names are now coming row wise, right? Row 1, row 2, row 3. The only difference is that these rows and columns, they also act as X and Y axis. The columns, they act as X axis, and rows, they act as Y axis, which you will just now see when we start making some visualizations over here. So for example, let's keep the salesman in the columns or like an X axis. For each salesman, I want to see how many units they have sold. I will pick up the field of quantity and drag it in the rows, and you will see your chart is ready. See, 2 drags and drops and your chart is ready within seconds. So what Tableau has done, it has created a chart which is a column chart. So over here we can see that how many units were sold by each representative. So Brenda sold 281 units, Dave sold 396 units, Harry sold 213 units. So for each column we can see how many number of units were sold. So when you're hovering on any of the bar, you can see a small box popping up. This is called as a tooltip. Now once this chart is ready, first thing I will do is, you can see there is an option which says standard. I can change the view of this. If I click on this, let's make it entire view. Entire view means it will capture or cover up the entire area on the Tableau screen for you. Now once this chart is created, I would like to do some sorting of the data. See, right now the names are coming by default sorted by the names, right, in the ascending order, A to Z. Brenda, Dave, Harry, Jack, Leo, and likewise. If you want to sort this data on the basis of units sold in ascending or descending order, you have 2 options over here which can be used. You are going to find them right over here on your screen. If I click on the first one, it makes the data as ascending. Next one, it makes it descending. So you can see the data has been sorted. The sorting can also happen from a small icon over here. If I click on this icon once, ascending, descending, the sorted by names, descending. So all the sortings can be managed from here as well. So I will like to keep this chart in the descending order of the units that were sold. Now, when you make the charts over here in Tableau, see, or in fact in any other visualization tools as well, the focus is not this that you have to make a nice, you just have to represent your information. You also have to ensure that the charts look neat and clean and nice, and they're a little bit eye-catching. So you will have to spend a good amount of time on your formatting of the chart. If, for example, you want to change the color of the bars, so you will see there are a couple of options that you will see over here which will help you to do the formatting on this chart that you have created. For example, you want to change the color. See, click on color and you can choose any color that you want to give to your bars, right? You want to play with the thickness of the bars. You can change the thickness of the bars, make it thick, make it thin, and likewise. You want to show some data labels. Data labels means the labels on the chart. If I click on the label, I will say show mark labels, and you will see the numbers have come on top of the chart now. If you click on the label, right, you want to play with the font size, you can click on the font size. You can make this font as a bigger, smaller, whatsoever is the apt size, you can keep it in that. You can make it bold. You want to give some colors, you can do that as well. So a bit of the formatting you can do to make your labels look much better. What are detail and tooltip? We'll talk about them in a detail. They cannot be used right now over here. But yes, in the tooltip, if you click on this, what you can do is the tooltip that we were seeing while we were hovering our mouse on the bar. So, this formatting can be done on that as well. You want to make your tooltips to come in bold. You want to change their colors. So you can do that if you click on OK. If I hover on this, you can see the set changes, formatting changes have been applied. And now we can see the tooltip in the exact same fashion over here right now. If you would like to give a title to this chart, so how we supply the title to this chart is you have the sheet 1. So you can see the sheet name is coming, sheet 1. So whatever is the sheet name, that by default is the title. If I rename this sheet, I say units sold by rep, you will see the title gets updated with that name. But it can happen, you have to write a nice lengthy fancy title, which might not be possible while you are renaming a sheet. So you can just double click on this and this dialog box will open up. Over here you will see there is a sheet name. So what you see in the gray color with less than and greater than sign between that's like a formula language this is like a formula language of Tableau. So by default, this means that whatever is the sheet name, that is going to come in your title. Let's remove this sheet name and let's write our own title now. Total units sold by sales team. I can select this, make it bold, center aligned. And if I click on apply, see when you click on apply, you will see how the changes have happened. Oh, oops, I made a spelling mistakes. So let's make it units, click on apply. So this is how the title is going to look. So that you can see by clicking on the apply button. You want to change the color and all, let's keep it in the red color. So first of all, you have to select the text, click on the color, let's make it red. Let's click on apply. So this is how the title is going to look like. If you're happy with this, we'll click on OK and we can see the chart is now ready. So this is where we have seen that how we have created our first chart in the Tableau over here. So in this session, we'll talk about here. So in the next video, we will be talking about how you can, add multiple features to this chart and make the chart much more informative. Thank you.